Beyond the edges of Earth's atmosphere, there is an advanced network of space technology, serving as an orbital watchtower to protect our nation and ensure the safety of our daily lives. But as the threat to our global security grows, so must our vigilance and urgency. At Redwire, we are honored to support those charged with defending our nation and its freedom to operate in space. Together, we are rapidly deploying solutions for warfighter communications that speed the exchange of information and shorten decision-making chains. We are building resilient mission architectures to mitigate threats and ensure dominance throughout space. And with our capabilities for space domain awareness, we help ensure the safety, security, and sustainability of our nation's activities in an increasingly contested environment. In the face of the unknown, we stand ready to serve the brave men and women who act as our guardians and using cutting-edge technology are protecting our future. Together, we defend above.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Redwire Happy Hour. I don't see nearly enough drinks in your hands, so you should head over there and grab a beer as we talk about this really cool thing called I totally forgot what it was called. It's a really cool thing. Public-private talent exchange with the intelligence community. I learned about this yesterday, and it's really cool, so we're excited to share this with you. Again, grab a beer and join us for a talk. I'm going to hand it over to Mitch Ledbetter, who is the Associate Director of National Security Space here at Redwire. And before I do that, my name is Camille Bergen. I am a science communicator, otherwise known as Galactic Gal. You might have seen my videos, and I am your host this week for Redwire's events at the booth. Ready?
Absolutely. Excellent. Thank you, Camille, for the introduction. I'm honored to join stage with Eric Jacobs and Dean Bellamy to my left. Just for 30 seconds, do you mind doing a quick introduction of what your role is?
Absolutely. Let me go first, Eric. Dean Bellamy, Executive Vice President, National Security Space. How about that hype video? Defend above. Absolutely. Hey, great job to our Marcom team. I give a shout out to them and all the great work they've done this week. Executive Vice President, National Security Space, retired Air Force Colonel, almost 27 years in uniform, doing space acquisition, space operations.
Good afternoon. I'm Eric Jacobs. I'm the first entrance into the IC Public-Private Talent Exchange. I actually have a background, 21 years active duty Air Force, followed by about 8 years as an NRO civilian from the National Reconnaissance Office.
Excellent. Eric, you can keep the mic up. I'm going to start with you. I got to look at my paper because that's a heck of an acronym. Do you mind describing what the IC Public-Private Talent Exchange is?
Absolutely. So the ICPPTE, the Public-Private Talent Exchange, is a program that some people are familiar with, but has not necessarily gained a wide attraction. It is an effort on the part of the Office of the Director of National Intelligence to establish opportunities for intelligence community members to have a period of 3 to 24 months with industry partners. And eventually they are establishing a reciprocal arrangement as well, whereby members of the industrial base or the commercial community will be able to actually go embed for a period of time within IC agencies. And the point of that program is to actually establish better communication and collaboration between the two parties. As you folks have been going around the symposium this week and you've been attending a number of different tracks and guest speakers and things like that, there's a thread that some of them have that is common, that there's a communication gap between work going on in the government and the way that commercial industry does business. And sometimes you're not speaking the same language. Sometimes you don't have the same set of experiences that allow you to sit down at the table and collaborate more efficiently together. Well, this public-private talent exchange is an opportunity to improve those lines of communication. The program's been around for several years now, but starting back in 2022, the space track was created. And there is a space champion within the Office of the Director of National Intelligence that is actually responsible for that space track. So from 2022 to 2023, they've been engaging with various commercial partners trying to establish private sector hosts so that IC members like myself have a place to go and learn about the different pieces of the industrial base. Now, this year, they're going to be starting the reciprocal. So there will be advertising opportunities for members of industry to actually go be embedded with members of the intelligence organizations within the intelligence community. And we can talk about that a little bit more later.
Absolutely. Thank you for the introduction. We, Redwire, are lucky to have you on board, and especially on this program as well. So, Dean, what led you to pursue this program, and why do you think Redwire would be a good host?
Mitch, thanks for the question. And I couldn't agree more with what Eric said. And it was a really good description of the IC PPTE. So I'll tell you, I'm going to go back to when I was in uniform and when I was working acquisitions, right? So if you can think, I did acquisitions in a benign environment, right? So if you think of when I was actually procuring things, it took 7 years. Let's go back and think about that. Something to be launching today would have the technology of an iPhone built in like 2015 timeframe. So how many people still use an iPhone 7? All right, one person in the audience. But that technology is obsolete because the iPhone 15s are out. But a lot of the environment I was in, we were really very risk adverse, right? We're not going to move fast. Well, as we've all heard in this conference, we've changed that environment, right? The environment is to do more of a managed risk environment. The environment is how do we outpace the adversaries? And when I looked at this opportunity, what better way to kind of, when I would have been a PM, to understand how do I make smart risk managed choices on acquisition? What does testing one of every satellites for TVAC mean? Or what does it mean that I can actually, shrink the timeline so I can launch in 2 years, not 7? And having that experience is so invaluable. So having a chance to have government and industry work together and have that voice and that communication work together is really how we as a partnership are going to allow the U.S. government to outpace the adversary and the threat.
Good explanation. And staying on this, what are some challenges that you've had joining the program or hosting?
Well, every bringing anybody on, it's all going to be different. Every opportunity is going to be different. But I will tell you, it's one of those that if you're excited and you want to work with the intelligence community, you work with HR and you work with them, you go through the processes to get everything approved. And it's really, what I would say is it's been more rewarding than challenges in our respect, because having a chance to look at this, a great opportunity as a program, and you look at it as a way that we, like young engineers like yourself, Mitch, and others on our team, get a chance to hear voice of the customer at Redwire. It's just an amazing opportunity.
That is true. That Eric's about to get into it, that he's been here for 2 months, but in the 2 months he has been, I've already learned plenty, so I'm very lucky. So, Eric, why did you apply for this detail assignment? What led you to join the program and then join Redwire after that?
Certainly. So I mentioned the length of time that I was in the Air Force active duty. While I was on duty, I was a developmental engineer and an acquisition program manager. And it was always very interesting to sit on the other side of the table and be in a very restricted communication path with our commercial partners. You typically have to work very strictly through your contracting officer, technical representative, and there's a lot of rules and such that are in play when you're trying to have establish a relationship between government and industry. One of the things that I knew I was deficient in was a current state of affairs. The commercial industry today has changed considerably since the last time I was a program manager. I've been in the policy and strategy realm for most of the last 8 to 10 years, and I was looking to make a move back to the acquisition community. And when I saw through the ODNI's joint duty assignment page the opportunity to go spend a year with industry, I was very excited to do that. And when I saw that it was a company like Redwire, one that I had not a lot of information about, it wasn't one of the traditional companies that I was used to dealing with, I jumped at the opportunity, and I've been very happy with the decision so far. It's been very exciting. It's been very fast paced. And I can tell you that I did not expect to be on a stage talking about the program during the course of this work.
I'd like to unpeel that a little bit more. You say fast paced. So in your 2 months, what's your experience? And do you mind diving into that a little bit more?
So every experience with the IC Public-Private Talent Exchange is going to be unique, because every relationship that ODNI establishes with a private sector host is individually negotiated. So when Redwire put forward a proposal to host an IC member, they kind of scoped out what the role of that individual would be, but they didn't actually make it overly restrictive because it all depended on the individual that was selected as to the experience that they would have. And that's going to be true for every potential private sector host that volunteers to be a part of this program. Likewise, it's the same thing when an intelligence agency agrees to host a member of industry, they're going to set up a relationship that is kind of unique to that set of circumstances. Now, in the time that I've been here, it has been extremely fast-paced. On the very first day that I arrived on the program, Redwire is very kind enough to issue me a laptop. I did not have to sign a hand receipt for it, so that was interesting. But that afternoon, I got on a plane because I was given a very rare opportunity to travel with a number of the C-suite personnel to go to the opening of a new facility. So not only did I onboard at a brand new facility that Redwire opened and got kind of the grand tour of that facility, but I flew out to Fordham, Colorado, to a new facility that they are putting on orbit. And while they were going the ribbon cutting and it was being visited by Colorado delegates and other folks from across the industry, I got to witness how these types of rollouts occur, how the conversations take place. And that was just followed up with one meeting after another with various mission partners and commercial partners that Redwire has across the industry, a lot of whom are represented here and were very gracious to allow me to accompany Redwire as they were talking strategy. They were talking about potential partnership arrangements. And I've even had opportunities to go to grand openings and investigate new facilities that other vendors that are here at the Symposium are opening themselves. And it hasn't stopped. Here I am at the Space Symposium being given another opportunity to walk around and engage directly with other booths. It has been interesting. A number of folks that I've worked with over the years have questioned why I walk around with a Redwire badge, and it gives me an opportunity to talk about the IC Public-Private Exchange. And so thank you very much on many levels for allowing me to get this message out.
And that's only the first 2 months. Imagine the next 10. So thanks for sharing your experience. Dean, I'd like to pull on your experience too. So what have you gained from the experience, and is it aligned with the goals that you expected?
Absolutely. We gain a tremendous amount. So if you think of the way the government does acquisition versus commercial to commercial, on the government side, they issue an RFI, they issue a draft RFP. You may get 15 minutes to talk to them about what they're interested in, what you're replying with, and that's it. On the commercial side, when we do the engagements, it's the exact opposite, right? We're engaging. It's almost like a scrum. We engage multiple times. We're like refining everything to the very end so we can get it right, because we're trying to really make sure that when we're putting together our response, right, it's like where we may be going to go co-invest or where are we going to work to ensure that we hit exactly what you need. So understanding those two different experiences has actually been, I think, great for not only you, but also it's great for us because it understands us, how we actually on our side, we're actually responding back to a variety of folks, whether it be the Space Force or whether it be some other government agency. How do we on our side, Redwire, do a good job explaining our capabilities? So I think it's been great. We're tailoring what we're learning on the commercial side back on the DoD side, but we're having a chance to actually show Eric, who's been a part of our team, he gets to see how we're making decisions. Like, for example, he'll sit in a meeting where we're maybe looking at where we're going to invest our IRAD, right? How we're going to invest our IRAD. So he gets better to understand how we make internal decisions, which actually will make, I think, him a better leader in the government afterwards, right?
Well, I will say I'm learning a whole new language. I think I need to get like the Barron's Dictionary of Financial Terms to understand EBITDA and cash flow and other things that factor into the decision-making cycle of whether or not a company like Redwire or others might be willing to bid on a government contract. And that is one of the insights that I so far have been getting, and I hope to learn considerably more.
And thanks to Eric, I no longer have to Google space acronyms. So I just walk over to his office and ask in person. So we got the program, we got the experience. Fundamentally, what do you hope to get out of the assignment when you go back?
So as I mentioned in the beginning, I'm looking to potentially make a return back to acquisitions, and I realized that I was a little out of touch with how program management was being done between government and commercial industry today. What I would like to take back, and I don't want to wait till I'm back in my assignment in 10 months. My intent is, and I've done it with several folks here this week and then in the previous 2 months, I'm looking to engage back with my home agency, with other elements of the IC, even mission partners on DoD and so on, to try to help them understand what I'm hearing inside the wire, so to speak, from the commercial industry perspective, but give it that government spin and help them connect the dots of here's where I was deficient in information, or here's pieces of knowledge that I've gained that I think will help us make some constructive changes on the government side so that we have more fruitful engagement with industry. There's a number of organizations that are out there right now doing great things to advance the pace of commercial industry providing capabilities that meets various governmental needs. I'm being afforded a unique opportunity to see how that process plays out. And I hope over the next 10 months and beyond to continue to have that positive change.
Absolutely. Thank you both for sharing. And that concludes our segment. So I want to thank these guys for helping throughout. I'm excited for the next 10 months and see where we can be, and for Redwire to grow and then report back to the home agency as well. So exciting times. If you have any questions, please reach out to us three. We'll be around, likely getting a beer right after this, so don't bug me till I have mine. But please ask. We're all open for it. And thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us on stage.